That's the lens that at which you're looking in. The topic can be whatever you want, as long as the magnifying glass you're looking at it in is the one in which is your lane. And so for me, everything is about beginner rental property investors who don't know where to start. Every lane that I try, every video that I try to make has to have that lens on it. But I pick the ideas based off of what I've seen that does well and things that I think will do well from there.
What did you have any fears starting social media? Were you one of those people who wasn't very social media active? I mean, generally software engineers aren't usually very social media active before they need to be, right? So what made you want to be, or I'm sorry, yeah. So what, I just lost my train of thought.
You're
Like
asking me, oh, go ahead.
No, yeah. So yeah,
What fears I had around social media?
Yeah, sorry. I don't know why I just lost my train of thought there. I literally lost my train of thought. So yeah, answer that question.
I had a lot of fears. Well, one, I had no Facebook, no Instagram account. I think I only had Snapchat because people my age used that at the time. TikTok wasn't an app. I did use YouTube to watch stuff, but YouTube is not really a social media app. I'm not really constantly talking to friends on YouTube. So I had LinkedIn for job search, but that was really it. Yeah, so I wasn't a social media guy. I had never made a video before. I didn't even, all I knew that was marketing was a major that you could take in college. That's about as much I knew about marketing. I failed English class in high school. English was not my first language, so communicating was never my strong suit. I actually got a 490 on writing on my SAT, so not even content writing was something I could be good at. And yeah, I didn't know how to use a camera. I luckily had an iPhone, but I didn't know how to use a camera. I never recorded or took pictures of myself. That's not something I ever did. And the thing that I was most afraid of was people that I knew in my life, what they would say about, what does Antonio know? He's, 23. What does he know about life? This is a guy I went to college with that I was drinking beers with, 2 years ago. What is he talking about? And that happened. I caught multiple of my friends watching Snapchats of people roasting my videos, and I had to deal with that. That wasn't a fun time. It just made me realize a lot of people weren't actually my friends. They were kind of just in my life. But once it came to something I really wanted to do, they didn't really care. And so
how did you deal with that? How did you deal with friends who were being a-holes to you?
I just
not supporting you.
I had to stop hanging out with them because it hurt, right? And it's crazy because there was a lot of friends that they didn't make fun of me, but they also didn't support me. They weren't, yo, you got this, Very few people supported me. Even my dad and my mom didn't really support me. But now things are different. When I had someone that would literally make fun of me all the time for doing this and behind my back. And now we went on a vacation together last year and he was introducing me to people. Yeah, he's TikTok famous. He's Instagram famous. He's this big shot real estate investor. Don't forget. I remember what you said about me. You might not know what I know, but I know that you said this stuff about me because other people told me. Right. And so it just, it sucks. It's not a fun scenario to think that people that you had a decent relationship with, aren't going to be able to have a decent relationship with you because of them not believing in what you're doing or thinking it's funny because, they really want to do it deep down inside. It's just a lot of things that you can't control.
Right. So then what do you do? Do you just straight cut them out of your life? I mean, you said you went on a vacation with him, so maybe he was a really good friend, or how do you handle that?
No, that one was, we ended up being at a wedding vacation together. So that wasn't, I chose to be around him. I just don't choose to be around those people. I'll see them at weddings. I'll see them, here and there, but I just don't go out of my way to hang out with them. That's just, to me, it's not like I need to do anything bad to them or slight them or anything like that. It's just that I just don't need them there. It's more, it's not necessarily a hatred or anything like that. It's just more that's who you want to be. Okay, that's fine. I don't need to have you. And it's not as, cut and dry as I'm saying it right now. As I find out about those things, it hurts. It hurts a lot, right?
I get it. Yeah, man. I mean, I get it. I definitely have friends that who, when I started doing, I did just started even business, let alone starting social media stuff, right? I
Mhm.
didn't start social media stuff. I started it probably a year and a half ago, but I started doing real estate 3 years ago.
Mhm.
Even then, there were people who would talk smack about me, and yeah, my advice to everyone on here is just do it anyways. Who cares? Once you become successful, which you know you will if you just stay at it, then they all shut up, right? That's what happens in the end. And then they all come and turn around, right? And then Antonio was talking about they're going to be at a wedding party and being like, "Oh my God, this guy's TikTok famous." I'm like, yeah, no help to you. In fact, in spite of you, right? So it's interesting. What do you think? Did you have to make new friends in this entrepreneurial journey and this social media journey? I've had to make a lot of new friends who I talk to them way more than my old friends. I talk to my old friends sometimes, but a lot of times I'm talking mainly to my entrepreneurial friends, and I cut out a lot of the older people in my life. Is that when you were talking about how networking has done that? Have you found a lot of really good friends in real estate that have been able to support you with doing social media and all the other stuff?
Yeah, I think I haven't.
And I'm gonna add on to that. How do you find friends in real estate?
Mm,
Shit.
yeah. So I was forced to make a lot of new friends because I moved to Austin from New York, and so how much of it was and COVID happened. So how much of it was me cutting people out is probably really slim. It's probably more just people falling out of touch. I didn't care to reach out to them because they were kind of, not those people. And our priorities just didn't align anymore. So I just stopped, calling them and stuff, stopped hanging out with them as much. So that's probably more it. And so when I was here, in fact, all of my friends in Austin are real estate investors or content creators, one of the two, mostly content creators, because I've hosted a lot of content creator meetups here to try to meet more and more people. But in the beginning, the first 7, 8 months, I only had one friend that I had met or I had two friends that I had met at real estate meetups. And so you have to first go to a place where you can find them and kind of know it, kind of introduce yourself to people. And then some of those people you're going to try to set up for a coffee or a hangout or go do this or go do that. And if you guys hit it off there, then you can keep hanging out with them. You could be able, you should be able to tell that, hey, this person wants to hang out with me. I want to hang out with this person. And that's kind of what I did for the first 7, 8 months while I was in Austin trying to meet new people.
Makes sense. So let's get into the social media. Let's get into some of the how-tos, actually how to become social media famous, right? What are the things that you feel people are missing, right? I feel like people understand you got to be posting consistently. But what should you be posting about? How do you decide what to post about? Let's start with those. How do you decide what to post about?
I don't think you need to post consistently, or I don't think posting consistently is what makes someone good. I think the consistency causes you to keep adapting and keep making something else. So it's not the algorithms care about consistency, because I don't think they do. And there's a lot of data points I've seen that don't seem that that's the case. So that's that, at least my opinion. Now, in terms of what you should be talking about, is you got to find your own lane of what it is you're talking about, and you can structure your lane about what experiences you're having. So for me, it was at that time I wanted to invest in real estate and I didn't know where to start, right? It wasn't until I started talking about that lane that anyone besides my three friends were listening to me about, so one, having a lane, and then two, in terms of what topics to talk about. What I highly recommend anyone does, and I still do this to today, is I literally will sit down and watch. I'll watch content and I'll try to find content that did well comparatively to everyone else's video. So before I started, I would go through, when I switched over to TikTok, what I did was I would go through everyone's profile and I would look at, okay, 200 views, 300 views, 5,000 views. Okay, what happened in that video? And I'd watch that video and break down what was on screen when they said it, or what did they say, what was being shown, what text was there, Was there a story? Was there not a story? What could I improve? What could I take away? And I'd write all that stuff down. And then I'd move towards the next one. And I'd keep doing that for multiple videos. And so I basically tried to build an AI model in my head of what is a good video, what is not a good video. And I have to keep updating that model because things change and things aren't always working the same. And so, yeah, that would be my number one tip is study what did well and don't ever copy it, but instead figure out how you can change it to match your lens, that lane that you've come on. So, for example, because you do wholesaling and your advice is going to be tailored towards wholesaling, you might watch a video of mine and be like, that's a good idea. But then you might change it just for wholesalers, right? Because that's the lane that you're looking on. That's the lens that at which you're looking in. The topic can be whatever you want, as long as the magnifying glass that you're looking at it in is the one in which is your lane. And so for me, everything is about beginner rental property investors who don't know where to start. Every lane that I try, every video that I try to make has to have that lens on it. But I pick the ideas based off of what I've seen that does well and things that I think will do well from there.
Gotcha. So basically, let's see if I'm breaking this down right. I'm curious what you think. Let's see if I'm understanding what you're saying. So number one, find a lane. And when you say find a lane, what are you going to be mainly talking about, right? What question are you going to be answering, or what's your brand is really what you're saying, right? More or less. And then two, what do you think? You kind of shook your head there. What do you
I would say I would call it niche. Brand is kind of more of a high level term. This,
find your
a little
niche.
bit more touchy feely. This is exactly who I help. This is what I try to help talk about.
Gotcha. So find your niche. Say that again. What am I talking about? And here's who I'm trying to help. Those are like the two questions you're trying to answer.
Who's this person that you're trying to help? What problems are they having, and how do you help them overcome that problem?
Gotcha. Love it. Find your niche or niche. Make sure you're actually helping people out with your content in there. And then find other people who are making content, analyze their really popular videos and compare it to their worst videos and see what was different, and then apply that to your videos. And that would be the best first step.
Yeah, it's a skill. It's understanding, because again, I come from no marketing, none of this education on how to communicate and all that stuff. So for me, I had to kind of break it down and understand what works and what doesn't work. And I had to build a model. Oh, that's weird. When they say these 3 words in a row, the video tends to do better than when it doesn't. So something about saying those 3 words all of a sudden makes people do better, or makes people pay attention, right? So it's you start to pick up on those things. And then when you start applying those things, you start learning from your own videos. An exercise I did recently was I went through all of my videos that had over 100,000 views, and I wrote down the hook for every single video. There's a trend here. Every time I say, here's how, the video tended to do better. Almost all of 80% of my hooks that were over 100,000 videos are, here's how much, or here's how you need, here's how was a quick intro, and it got people into the thing. And so that worked for me, right? And so it might work for you, but you got to apply to your niche and then practice and try different things. And part of the process is just making videos so you could understand what works and work through the technical kinks and stuff like that. But that's all part of the process over time of you doing this as you're learning these things.
Right. And then which one do you focus on the most? I mean, I met you on Instagram. Do you focus mostly on TikTok, mostly on Instagram, mostly on YouTube, or all 3? Or I'm just curious, which platforms are you focusing on?
TikTok is my main platform, but I would say over the last year, Instagram has been the best one for me. Videos that I would have expected to do well on TikTok just haven't been doing as well on TikTok, but are doing better on Instagram for me. And overall, I'm just trying to master the format of short form video content. So I don't know if it's specific to TikTok, but more just overall at this point, short form video.
Gotcha. And then how did you learn about doing content? Did you read any books? Did you literally just, I'm going to do the videos. I got a niche. Did you just kind of come up with that process, or how did you start learning? Were there any specific books, any mentors, anything like that?
Yeah, I did a lot of coaching stuff and courses and stuff like that. I did a coaching call with Roberto Blake when I started out. I did a in-person summit with Tim Schmoyer. They're both YouTube specific. And then when I switched over to TikTok, I had some help from my friend Joseph Todd. And well, that was an example of me looking up to someone. And then we're now friends and hang out in real life. That social media opened up that door for me. And then I also, someone else, Josh, the ginger marketer, I think his name is, on TikTok. He helped me on TikTok as well. I haven't really had anyone help me about Instagram or any of these other ones. Yeah, the
Okay,
last
but
time.
mainly platform. So you did coaching for it. You literally know I'm going to go find a coach. Was that, did you just know that would help? Why?
I read a
I
lot of
think,
books. They just weren't very helpful. Like
okay. So the,
on my shelf right now, I'm looking at Hooked, This Is Marketing, Contagious, Made to Stick, Content Inc.
what
Con-
made the, what made the coaches so much more helpful than the books?
the coaches had a native understanding of the platform more than any of these books did. And the coaches were able to give me, I'm very practical, very actionable. And so the coaches were able to give me, do this, whereas the books were not.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting because I've been on this journey learning how to do it and learning how to do social media. And one of the greatest things that I learned, I think, was you can't just hire an editor, get good quality, and then hope you pop up. You have to put an active thought of, okay, how is this video going to go viral? How do I get something to go viral, right?
Mhm.
And then grow your following that way. So it's an interesting game for sure. I like it because it's fun, right?
Mhm.
So awesome. So then what are your goals? What are you trying to do? You're obviously trying to go the social media. Are you just trying to buy more houses one by one, or what are your goals right now?
Yeah. Well, on the real estate side of things, my goals are to retire my dad first and then my mom, and then I start working on myself. And on the social media side of things, I'd like to have 2 million across all platforms by the end of the year. If I look at my timing and how I've grown over the year, it doesn't look like it's going to get there. I'm going to need a miracle to get me there at this point. But a million is definitely possible to get me across all platforms by the end of the year. And yeah, at this point, I'm just constantly trying to reinvest in the audience. And like I said, I'm hoping to launch this opportunity for people to invest with me and stuff like that. And for me, that's kind of where I wanted to be long term. I never really wanted to have to charge for education or any of the information. And that's part of the reason why I'm not making as much as some people might think I'm making, $1 million a year, because I have so many followers. But because I'm not really charging for the education, I'm not really making that much. And so most of my income has been from sponsorships. My objective is to find a way to give away all the education, so this way people trust me enough to invest with them, because ultimately that's what we're here for, is to buy these properties. So why not do it all together as a group?
Yeah, I 100% agree. Do you know Pace Morby? You might know him.
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah, I've watched some
He's
of his stuff on
my
subject too.
He's my mentor, and he always talks about how you should use social media in order to buy more houses. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Don't charge for the education. This is just my personal opinion, and what I've been doing, even with my smaller following, is
Mhm.
I use it just to do more deals with them. I'll just be, hey, like I'm doing deals in Northern California and Colorado. I can dispo anything. I'll just do stories like that every once in a while, or a post or something, and then somebody will inevitably send me a deal, and then close and we get a deal done, right?
Mhm.
Feel like just if you did that every once in a while, and then and especially if you started creating, I'm going to start creating a Discord community of people who can start getting doing deals together, and eventually that'll make it where deals come to me as well. I
Mhm.
think the better strategy would be to do deals with your audience than charging for the content. I think it's a good idea to make the content free and then just do deals with them. It might
Yeah.
be, I think that's a good strategy.
Yeah, because I really, the long term wealth is in the real estate.
Yep.
It's not in selling a course. I mean, to me, that's kind of, Drake has a line, y'all fighting over crumbs, where the bread at. That's what I feel. His course is crumbs. Sure, I'll make $1 million this year, but over the long term, what is that going to do for me? I have so much more goodwill built up with people if I give them the information and enable them to do what they need to do. It's just not immediately profitable right now for me to do that. So it's been more of a moral challenge for me to do it that way. But figuring out how to monetize it has been harder, other than sponsorships and, a couple book sales here and there, that
No,
kind
I
of thing.
got you. I got you. Cool, man. Well, we're reaching the end of the podcast. What my last question that I always ask people is, what if you could go back to Antonio right when he's starting off, let's say real estate, either entrepreneurship or real estate, what would Antonio now tell the past Antonio? What would you tell your past self if you could do anything differently, or just what would you tell them?
I would tell him, record every damn thing you're saying, everything you're doing, because you're gonna want this content later.
Right.
That's one. You're not limited to the $30,000 that you have. There's a lot more money out there in the world that other people are willing to give you if you can master the skill. So just focus on mastering the skill, and the rest will be a lot easier from there.
All right. Love it, my man. So what can we plug for you? There's obviously your social media, Antonio. How do you say your last name? Cucciniello?
Cucciniello, yeah.
Cucciniello.
Yeah.
Obviously, follow this guy on Instagram. Is YouTube's just your name, I'm assuming?
YouTube is Invest Starters too. Same
Invest
thing. Yeah.
Starters.
Yeah.
So Invest Starters. Follow him on every single platform. And then where are you buying houses? What are you looking for? You said Memphis? Or that was
Akron.
your friend?
Akron is where I probably spend most of my time looking at deals
Akron.
on.
Where's Akron?
Akron, Ohio.
Akron, Ohio. Okay.
Yeah.
Akron, Ohio. And then, yeah, anything else you want to plug? Anything you want my audience to go do, or anything like that?
Yeah, I have my entire course is free. So if you want to learn about buying a rental property, or maybe you're wholesaling some deals to people that are using them as rentals, and you want to understand the fundamentals of rentals a little bit better, you could check that out. That is in my link in my bio on Instagram and TikTok.
So yeah,
I could send it to you here. I don't know.
It's okay. They'll follow you on Instagram. They'll go to the link in the bio.
Sure.
In the link in the bio, there'll be a free course on how to get rentals, guys. So it's a free course. Everything's free. Just go into the bio. It's super cool. I love it when people give out just all the content for free. So yeah, my man, just everybody go to his Instagram, go to his YouTube, go to his TikTok, follow him, and get his free course and all of that. So cool. Awesome. And then people can just DM you if they've got houses in Akron, Ohio, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they have good deals in Akron, I'm happy to take a look at them. Yeah.
I love it. Awesome.
I actually was looking for someone to do, because I don't do my own off-market deals. I was looking for someone that wants to kind of work in-house with me, so I could promote the deals on social media if I don't want them. But if I want them, I would be the primary buyer for them. But I couldn't get around to finding anyone through my audience yet.
Where is Akron, Ohio? Is that
It's
near?
an hour south of Cleveland, 2 hours south of Cleveland, something like that.
Gotcha. You mean you're saying if there's a house that you want to buy, that you don't want to buy, but could be a potentially good deal for someone else, you might want someone who can maybe find you a buyer?
Yeah, the way I was kind of structuring it was I would pay for the marketing machine, I would allocate some money to the marketing machine to get it going. And if there's a deal that I would buy, if there's a deal that comes under contract, I would check it out first. If I didn't want it, then the person who found the deal could look at it and potentially take it. And if not them, then we would just wholesale it to my audience and use the profits to go back into the marketing machine. It's not perfect, contract yet, but I figured that it would be decently valuable, and we would make content together, so they would get some, help on that end.
I love it. We should talk. I mean, I know tons of people in Cleveland, and I bet they do Akron too. I don't know if they'd be willing to do in-house, but they have tons of deals in general. We should talk. I should connect you with them. They would, even if you'd be interested, they're good contacts in Cleveland. So
yeah,
we'll talk about it. But anywho, so words you want for the fans. I appreciate you so much for coming on. What are your last words before I end this?
No, this is great. I'm glad we had this conversation. It was fun. And thanks for having me, Jonah, and all of you. Don't let the fears hold you back. That they can be scary. They might feel you're all alone and the only one having them, but I bet you that we've all been through them to some shape or form or extent. Even no matter how specific your scenario might feel, the flavor of it will still be there for other people. So don't you worry.
I love it. Awesome. Thank you, Antonio. I appreciate you. This was Skorch the Fears, episode 91. Next week, let me real quick check. I think next week we're going to be a little bit off. Let me just make sure. I want you guys showing up at the right time. Next week, we are going to be, it's going to be Wednesday. So it'll be Wednesday, 5 p.m. PST, not Thursday, 5 p.m. PST. That's when we're going to do it. It's going to be great. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Thank you again, Antonio. You've been amazing. This is Skorch the Fears. Let's freaking go.